So we're here around the western side of this flooded area along the rail bed of the Gunflint Lake Superior. You can see, even though it is a very wet area, it still is a very pretty area. And so you can see the railway in this area skirts along the side of this little ridge. You can see that they've done a little bit of cutting in this area. In many spots you can still feel the indentations from the ties. See some of the beaver's handiwork here. You can also see a little bit of the temporary nature of the railway. There's lots of undulations in the grade, lots of ups and downs. And so the railway leaves this little cutting and now continues westward. All right, so we're just west of the flooded area. And we're standing here on the grade. You can actually see down here there was a fairly large depressed area. And so here we're going to go through this area, which forms a very nice little embankment. Once again, it's probably very difficult to see on the camera, but there are all kinds of depressions in the ground where the ties were located. So we have a very nice straight section of railway here. Very pretty with the fall colors out, even though it's somewhat past the time. Still very beautiful. You can imagine at one time all of this area, especially all the ridge in the background, being covered with large white pine that were harvested by the lumber company. And then the railway continues this way. You can see it dips again a little bit as it continues westward. All right, so we're on the railway grade here. Very interesting discovery. I saw this back in 1997 when I was here. And so what we have is a few sections of rail that are still in place. See the northern rail, and then on the one on the south side. Just as it did in 97. And as indicated by records of the Pigeon River Lumber Company, these rails came from the Illinois Steel Company Union 92, IX, 1892, September, possibly. And so the rails continue this way. There's only a few sections of rail. You can see this metal bar here. Separating the track. Some spots you can see indentations where the ties are located. And right here, you can actually see the end of the rail. And you can see this metal bar. And how it would have slipped right in through the rail. You can see the other end over here. The rails are secured by a double fish plate, which I believe you can see somewhere over here. Over here. Interesting how they left that small section of rail in place. All right, so we're here on the railway. We are just west of the previous rail location. And what we have here is yet another section of rail. This one a little bit more interesting in the sense that it's the beginning of some sort of junction, whether it's a spur or a siding. I think that I'd prefer to say that it's more of a spur, a siding, I should say, as it does not appear that there is anywhere that the track could have gone to. You can see here that there are metal braces in between the tracks. That obviously may be part of the switch apparatus. Here you can see some information about the switch.
Wait,
Very odd that this one little section of track would have been left in place. Just one section of rail. You can see that there is some sort of metal pieces here with bolts still attached. I'm not sure if this is part of the switching apparatus. And then the grade continues this way westward until it reaches the log corduroy trestle. All right, so the marking on these rails are those of the Illinois Steel Company. Union 92, XI, possibly 1892, September. So we're still here at the location of the switch and the double track, And I do believe now that this was a siding. So as we move our way eastward, you can actually see the indentations of some of the ties. And over here, you can very, very vaguely see that the grade begins to widen. And so we have a ditch on the one side here. And if we cross over here, we can actually see that we are passing through a little bit of a depression here, a ditch. And if we come over onto this side here, you can actually make out a ditch on this side. And so this would have been a siding, most likely to allow the trains to pass and possibly trains to be loaded with logs. So you can see that there is a ditch on this side and then one on this side as well. And if we cross back over to the main line, we move in this direction, we should be able to see down here so you can see even better over here the grade. We should come up upon a point where the two meet again. All right, so I believe we've arrived at the intersection point. You can see the grade heading down that way to the west. And you can see that there is a prominent ditch on this side and the grade heading back to the east. And so if we cross over here, you will notice that there is a ditch here on this side. And if we make our way over here, very, very grown in. You will see that the two link up again. All right, so I believe we've arrived at the eastern side of the junction. You can see how straight this section of the grade is. You can also see the incline, and I believe this is where the tracks meet up together and form the eastern side of the siding.